Do you know what the best version of you looks like? Just take a look in the mirror, the person that you were born to be, and say, huh, I'm taking on the best. Every day is a new day to step it up, and maybe some days I feel like giving up. I just don't get it, but I can't forget that I'm a believer in the power of yet. I may not know it now, but I will. Take a deep breath and I'm chill. Mistakes are part of the game, I embrace them. I don't run from my fears, I face them. How? I pay attention, I take charge of my learning. Draw it out and work it out to show my journey. Try until it clicks, make sure that it sticks. Working at it constantly is my secret. Practice is not something I do once I'm good. It's the one thing I do that makes me good. So I take another step, I'm obsessed with progress. You know why? Why? I'm taking on the best.
Hey world changers, and welcome to another video lesson of taking on the best. My name is Miss McCarthy and I am on a mission to make math fun, make it click, and make it stick for you. And I'm so pumped and excited that I get to be your guide as we not only dive into Florida's best standards for 4th grade math, and just know that I'm also here to support you and encourage you every step of the way as you take on the best version of yourself. So without further ado, let's get into today's video lesson and let me teach you. In today's video lesson, we will use a number line to relate fractions and decimals that are less than 1. So grab your pencil, grab your workbook page, and let's get ready to take some notes. So the directions for this one say to plot the fractions on the number line. So plot means that we're going to place a point that relates to the fractions on the number line. Then we will write the values in decimal form. We totally got this. So number 1, the fraction that we're given is 3/10, right? 3/10. And what we need to do is place it on the number line. So 3/10 is in between the whole number 0 and 1, right? So that's why we have it right here on our number line between 0 and 1 whole. And our number line has already been scaled for us. We can see this here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 equal jumps, right? That's why we have 10 as our denominator. It's the total number of equal jumps. So right here, this would be 0/10 or 0. All right, so for jumping, that would be 1/10, 2/10, 3/10 right there. Okay, which means I can plot my point right here. And I'm also gonna label this as 3/10, just like that, okay? Now we would write this as a fraction with 3 in the 10th place. So that means we need our whole, our decimal, and then this right here is our tenths. So let's put 3, so we can read it as 3/10, and we'll plug a 0 in right there. So 0.3 is what we're writing, but we don't say it like that, right? We say 3/10. In fact, we'll write that down here in word form. 3/10 is another name to represent this fraction, or we can write it in numeral word form as 3/10. Okay? Make sure you have all of that copied for number 1, and then when you're ready, join me for number 2. All right, everybody, so for number 2, we have the fraction 9/10. So same kind of thing, we've got our number line that's already been scaled into 10 equal parts. We just need to count to the 9th tenth and plot our point. So let's start at the 0 and count 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10 is right there. And we'll just plot the point right here and label it as 9/10. As you can see, it's really close to 1, which would be 10/10. Now to write that as a decimal, 9/10, our 9 needs to be in the 10th place, right? So if we have our 1's place, our decimal, and then our 10th place, we can place 9 right there, the digit 9 in the 10th place. And then what can we place in the 1 spot? A 0, right? So it looks like we're writing 0.9, but that's not how we read it. We read it as 9/10. Now to write some other names for it, we can write 9/10 in word form, or we can write numeral word form as 9/10. All right, make sure you have all those notes copied for number 2, and then join me for number 3. All right, everybody, so for number 3, we have the fraction 75 hundredths. It's between 0 and 1. And it might seem a little bit confusing at first because our number line is scaled into 10 equal parts. However, our denominator is in hundredths, right? So right here, halfway would be 50 hundredths, right? We would have 10 hundredths, 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 40 hundredths, 50 hundredths, and if we keep going, we've got 60 hundredths, 70 hundredths, and 80 hundredths. I'm going to label this line as 70 hundredths and this little mark as 80 hundredths. And where should 75 hundredths go? In between 70 hundredths and 80 hundredths, right? So right here. Okay, and we can plot it and label it on top as 75 hundredths. Awesome. The way that we would write that in decimal form, we would need the tenth spot and the hundredth spot, or place, we should say. And this is the ones place, and the 75 hundredths, so that 5 lands in the hundredths place. So what do we need in the tenths place? A 7, right? Then we could read it as 75 hundredths. And what digit can we place in the ones place? A 0, right? So let's do that. That's 0.75. That is not how you read it though, that's just how we write it. And it would be, we would read it as 75 hundredths. So what other names represent this fraction? Let's write it in word form. 75 hundredths, or 75 hundredths. Awesome. Okay, make sure you have that one copied. And then let's get to the last one, number 4. All right, so for number 4, we have the fraction 31 hundredths. This time again, we have 10 equal parts, and each jump needs to represent 10 hundredths, right? So if we think about it like that, it would be 10 hundredths, 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths would be right here, which is close to 31, 30 hundredths. And then right here, the next one would be what? 40 hundredths, right? And would 31 hundredths be closer to 30 hundredths or 40 hundredths? 31 hundredths is really close to 30 hundredths. So let's go real close, maybe like right here. And we'll label this one as 31 hundredths. All right, now we need to write it as a decimal. Okay, so 31 hundredths, the 1 needs to land in the hundredths place. So let's get some places ready for us. This is the tenths place and the hundredths place, and 31 hundredths, so the 1 needs to go in the hundredths place. What do we put in the tenths place? A 3, good, the digit 3. And what digit goes in the ones place? A 0, right? Because it is less than 1. So we would write this as 0.31, but that's not how we read it. We read it as 31 hundredths. In word form, it would be like this: 31 hundredths. Don't forget your THS. Or we could write it in numeral word form, which would be 31, and then writing out hundredths. All right, make sure you have all of that copied, and then let's close out this video lesson. All right, world changers, so I hope that the information provided in this video today clicked for you, and now it's your turn to make sure that it sticks. How do you do that? With extra practice, because practice is not something we do once we're good. It's the one thing we do that makes us good. So make sure that you're getting in that extra practice, smoothing it out so that you feel not only comfortable with it, but confident and ready to rock, all right? Before we go, let me remind you that your only competition in life is with that person staring back at you in the mirror, yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just focus on being the best you that you can be. That's what this is all about, right? Because we are taking on the best. All right, world changers, keep on working hard, and I will see you in a video lesson real soon. Bye.